Good morning, everyone. Sorry I'm just a couple minutes late here. We had a few technical difficulties, so we're gonna cross our fingers. It looks to be doing okay so far. So good morning and welcome to Tea Time. It's Tuesday again. Welcome to the last Tuesday of March. Crazy. How did we make it? It's almost April. I can't believe it. It's been kind of a weird winter where we haven't had a lot of snow. And so it sort of seems like a really long spring. And it has been rainy yesterday, and today it was raining when I got to work. So just kind of a different winter for sure. But I am super excited to be coming into spring and really excited to introduce you to our latest kit, which has all the signs of spring, which for a lot of us means flowers and bright colors and greenery again. Get rid of the dead grass and bring back the leaves on the trees. I am ready for it. Let me know you're here today as you are hopping on. Say hello in the comments and I can say hi to a few people and make sure that we're live both on Facebook and on YouTube, hopefully. Cold morning for Nancy. Good morning, Deneen. Dreary and chilly in Kansas today. Hi, Jill. Rainy in Seattle. Sounds like rainy and cold is where it's at. Oh, except California. Yes, it is sunny. Beth says out in Hillmar, California, which I'm not surprised. It's always sunny in California, at least a good percentage of the time. Hello, Lori. In snowy Wisconsin, you're getting some snow. I know Heather sent me a picture yesterday of the snow they got up in Minnesota. A lot of snow, which is crazy this time of year. We're usually working our way out of the snow and into the spring, but it's kind of changed a little bit here in the last few days. Some snow, different places.
I'm completely over the snow.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm over it before it starts.
Yes. Yes. Now that we have the wind here, I'm kind of like, okay, wind, you can leave.
Yes, it does get super windy here in Iowa, and the hair just goes all over the place. That's my least favorite part of the wind. And then it's cold, too. Wind usually means cold. So, hi, Linda. Yes, it took you a while to find me this morning. We had a few technical difficulties to start our live. We had to start 3 times in order to get here today. But so far, everything looks connected. Everybody's seeing me, hearing me on both platforms. So super glad to have you all here today. All right, should we get started? It is kit release day, which is the last Tuesday of every month. If you're newer to Tailored Expressions, that is the rhythm that we're in. So you can kind of put that on your calendar and plan on it. And we are again super excited to share a new kit with you. This one is designed by Heather Nichols. She does an amazing job with kits. As you guys know, she's an amazing crafter herself. So when she illustrates products, I think they just really speak to what the crafter wants to do with them because she is that person. She knows what she wants these products to be able to do, and it's just so fun to collaborate with her and do these kits together. So I am super excited to show you some of the samples. Let's get down and start taking a look at some of these. And of course, I'm going to do my sorting, and then we're going to walk through the elements of the kit first. And then I'm going to show you lots of samples using them, pull in some other products we're going to craft together in a little bit. Once we get to the end of the live, we will do some crafting. All right, so the kit for March is called Scattered Blooms. So as always, our kits come in the vinyl pouch with the zipper at the top, and you have your pouch sticker that says the kit name on it, so you can keep all of your items together if you want. Makes for nice and easy travel if you're maybe going to a friend's house or to an event and you want to bring a concentrated number of products or a project. That's a great way to travel with your projects. Okay, so let's start with this stencil. This is what it all began with. This is a layering stencil, and when you create these 5 layers or blend these 5 layers onto your cardstock, there are alignment squares to make sure they're perfectly aligned. We're going to talk about how important that is when we craft together. But there are those alignment squares to help you with that. And then you come out with this beautiful pattern that you see over here on the right. And you can use that by itself. You can use it with the coordinating die. You can use it with the coordinating foilet. There are so many different ways that you can use the pattern that you blend with this stencil. So, like I said, there is a coordinating die. This is the Scattered Blooms cutting plate, and it has that all over design with those alignment squares to help you line up your stenciled pattern, and then die cut all of those little flowers and leaves that you stenciled onto your background. We're going to use this together, and so you'll get to see how these two coordinate with each other when we get to crafting. Then we wanted to give you a sentiment for your projects. So we don't have this as a die at Tailored Expressions. So I was excited to be able to include this Big Hugs die. And if I turn it over, you can see what that looks like. There are lots of samples using this. And so you'll get to see an idea of the scale of that hugs on the A2 card. Here's what that die looks like. And you might be noticing that there is a backer for this. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes when I get to the items that can be purchased outside of the kit. So inside of the kit, you get the Big Hugs die. And then if you want to add the backer, you can add that on separately from the kit. So next up we have, as in all of our kits, we do the insiders that are designed to go with the theme of the kit. And this one is called the Insiders Scattered Blooms. And there are lots of kind of flowery sentiments that work with the imagery. So you'll see, hope you're feeling back in full bloom very soon, kind of a get well sentiment. May your love continue to bloom, happy anniversary. May your day be as bright and beautiful as you, happy birthday. And thinking of you today and sending a bunch of cheer your way. So those are the 4 different insiders panels. These are toner printed if you're not familiar with them, so they can be foiled if you want to have a foiled sentiment. And then last, this is something new that we've added to our kits this year, and they come with inspiration pieces. So you'll get the color combination along with the inspiration. There are 4 different ones in here, and I'll just kind of fan those out for you so you can see that we have pulled different design team inspiration and different color combinations, and then you get to store those however you'd like. They do fit in our mini slim storage sleeves and binder, so that's how I've been storing mine. So each of our kits for 2024 comes with 4 inspiration color cards. So that is the kit. $67 is the price of the kit with the items that I just shared with you. And then there are always, I'll say always because for the most part there are always items you can purchase separately from the kit if you want to continue to get more versatility or just add additional supplies to your kit purchase. And so let me share with you the things that you can purchase separately if you choose. So this is that Big Hugs backer die that I showed you on Jill's card. So we have the thin line hugs sentiment that comes in the kit. And then if you want a backer die to be able to kind of set that off from the pattern, then you can grab that separately outside of the kit. Then we have additional separate insiders panels that are available for purchase. The Insiders Scattered Blooms, so if you want more of the insiders panels, a pack does come in the kit, but you can grab additional packages of those if you want. And then we have our Scattered Blooms envelope seals. I love these. So cute when they come in the shape of the element. And we have these 2 versions for you. Die cut vinyl stickers that are sized perfectly for the outside of your envelope, but these don't have any words on them or anything that make them only useful as an envelope seal, so you can use these actually on your cards too, if you would like. And that is a pack of 10 envelope seals, so you get 5 each of both of those designs. And then last, we always usually have a foilet for you guys, and this time we have our foilet Scattered Blooms. So these would be markings that coordinate with the stencil. If you want to foil this and then stencil over the top, you'll have your alignment squares there. And then if you want, you can use the die to cut them out. But these particular lines on the foilet actually coordinate with the lines that are on the die. So if you didn't notice that, here's my open die. But when you're cutting out these flowers, it has all of these etch markings in it, which makes for just really cool. I've got a handful here. You can see some of these colors we'll be using later. But you can see the etch markings that really just add a lot of character to the flowers without having to do anything extra. So what you see on the die etch markings are the same lines that would be foiled if you choose to use the foilet. So should we take a look at some samples? I am going to walk you through these first. Heather made these, and she's up on the YouTube channel today with a video on how she made these. But I wanted to start with these because, as I said at the beginning, I love when Heather designs a kit because she really understands what crafters want to be able to do with the products and makes them as versatile as they can be. And so she has shown 3 different ways that you can use these products separately, paired together, or by themselves. So we have over here, this card uses just the stencil. So she blended that 5-layer stencil onto her cardstock and then used that as her pattern with that cute little hugs die. So you can definitely do that. Just use the stencil pattern and blend it out to create a patterned paper, basically. And then you can make a card from that piece. Now, if you want to step it up and have even more options, you can go a step farther and you can blend that stencil and then you can use the coordinating die to cut out the flowers and the leaves. So it's going to cut all of those flowers and leaves at the same time, adding those etch markings in for extra character, which I think is really fun. Yeah, Deneen noticed, she said, I did not think these were Heather's cards because they're not in toffee. But wait, are you ready? It's toffee. So Heather's cards are actually all on toffee card bases. So she will not disappoint. There's always some kind of toffee, but yes, they are all on toffee card bases, just with a full-size card front panel glued over the top. And then the last thing that Heather did, so I showed you she used the stencil by itself. She used the stencil and the die together. And now on this project, she's using the die by itself. So you can see she's just taken that die, cut it out of solid cardstock, and then she's used splatter and maybe a little bit of blending. I can't tell exactly. But she has added character and dimension to the cardstock by adding the splatters and making them look kind of fun and realistic and layering them together. So if you want to skip the blending step, you can just go straight to cardstock and cut these out and blend them as well. So let me show you, these are the 2 cards. Actually, we're only, I think, gonna have time to put together one of these, but these are the 2 that we're gonna craft together a little bit later. You can see the one on the right here. I blended the stencil and then die cut the blooms and popped those up. And then over here on the other side, this I would call the easier version. I just simply cut the flowers out of cardstock. Maybe easier isn't the word, faster would be a better word. This is the faster version. Just cutting those flowers out of cardstock and then using my new little blender brushes, these detail blender brushes, to blend different colors into the centers of the flowers to create that card. So a couple different options. Now let's take a look at the foilet. Lori did an amazing job showcasing the foilet. Love this color combination that she came up with. If you have not yet earned our freebie for this month, it is called All Planned Out, and it is basically a layout plan for you, and she created the kind of triangle piece here at the bottom using that particular All Planned Out die set. You can see here she has foiled those, if I can get it to kind of look at the light, you can see the beautiful foil. She's got one of the insider's panels on her card front instead of on the inside, which is another great way to use those. So that one is so pretty. I love that. And then this one has kind of a unique, fun fold to it. So she took and blended that stencil over the top of the foilet panel and then cut it apart to create a gatefold. Look how pretty that is on the inside, all of the beautiful foil to match with the foiled flowers that she cut out. And then also that all planned out die that she used for this kind of pretty circle. If I bring that up into the light, can you see how it is pierced, like a double pierced edge around the outside of that circle? So that's a fun feature of that all planned out die set. You can see it here on the border of this card too. I'm really trying to get it in there, but it is a double pierced edge along that scalloped border, which is really pretty. So if you haven't earned that all planned out set, then you have a few more days in March to do that. If we do happen to run out of the all planned out set, it is a possibility that it may run out. So I would suggest, if you're wanting it, to go ahead and get that sooner rather than later. But we will be replacing that $100 freebie with the framed flowers towards the end of the month if we do happen to run out of the all planned out. But all of that will be on the website, so you'll know which freebie you're going to get based on whatever shows up in your cart at the time of your order. Okay, so let's take a look at a couple more foilets. This one is the one I showed you earlier with the hugs and the backer, and Jill used a foil on this as well. You can see that pretty, she used a teal colored foil and then blended that color combination over the top with the stencil. So that's a little more simple way to go, where you use that foilet and then blend over the top and then just use that panel as your kind of background paper. So really pretty. I love that color combination that she used. And next up, she again used the foilet here. This time she foiled it in almost a pinkish magenta color on these flowers, and then die cut those, paired it with one of our masking squares in the background with the pretty stitching all the way around the outside of that square. She's so good with those stitches. And then we've got the Happy Mother's Day sentiment from one of our previously released sets. So that one's really pretty too. Then last, but certainly not least, we have some bold colors from Emily Midlowski. Look at this with the pop of black. I love it. So on here, it looks like she die cut the die and then used it as a template to kind of pop those flowers back on top of the black cardstock. And then she removed that die cut, and all of the flowers are arranged perfectly on the background. So I think that is a super cool way to use it. It does look like she maybe cut these flowers out of white cardstock and then blended them with colored inks. So if I peel this up, I can, yep, it's white on the opposite side. So that's, my guess was correct. But you could also cut this out of lots of different solid colors of cardstock instead of blending them, and that would look really pretty too. And then on this card, she also used the foilet in, it looks like gold to me. You can see those foil details shining in the background, and then used the coordinating stencil over the top to blend the different colored flowers. So pretty, right? I love the pop of the black. Okay, so should we craft together? I forgot to mention at the beginning that I do have some tea to spill at the end of the live today. So if you're gonna stick with me all the way through, when I seem to be wrapping up, just start shouting in the comments, tea, tea, because sometimes I do forget. A couple things I did want to bring up now that we've made it through the kit products. We do have a few new products that have joined our new category under tools and supplies. Some of these you have seen before. Nothing super revolutionary, but in case you're looking to add any of these to your cart with your kit order, I wanted to make mention. Again, you can find these under new tools and supplies. This is our new teal embossing pad kit. It measures 6 by 6 and it's in Taylor's favorite teal. You can see it matches my nails just perfectly. And this is great for using with our 3D embossing folders. We used to have a version that was gray, so not as pretty, and a little bit different size. It was more, I think, like a 5x7 size. So this is nice for using with the 6x6 embossing folders because it's going to cover the entire pattern of the 6x6. So this is now available for everyone on the website. It was an item offered during our virtual Stamp Joy just a few weeks ago, so you may have seen it there. One thing besides stitching that Jill Hawkins loves are googly eyes, and so we've had lots of people request to have us carry a package of googly eyes. You can see they're called wiggle eyes here, but these are now available on the Tailored Expressions website. They are not adhesive, and there are many different sizes in here that work great with different imagery that we have, and you will find Jill using these a lot on all of her projects. Anything that has eyes ends up with wiggle eyes. So that is available now. And then this was a product that we offered in a bundle, and we have now begun to offer these separately. So we have 5 of our egg carton packaging pieces. These are great for Easter baskets. Think about these for May Day baskets. I'm going to be using them for May Day and might have some samples to share with you. But these are now available separately from the bundle that we originally released for our Easter release. And you get 5 of these in a package. So lots of different fun little gifties you can package up and decorate in these little egg cartons. So those are available now too. Okay, so let's get crafty with our new products. I'm going to start with a piece of 6x6 sugar cube cardstock, and then we have our 5-layer stencil here. So we are going to go ahead and start with, this is layer 1. I am going to just tack my paper down onto my glass mat here. And then I'll take some teal tape. This first layer is going to be the easiest because we don't have to worry about the alignment yet. We're just making sure that it is tacked down to our cardstock, and then we can blend. So I'm going to go ahead with Peaches and Cream. I think my ink stand must be over across the room, so I'm just going to have to chase my ink pad around today a little bit. And I'll give a nice light blend over the top of this stencil. I do want to make sure that I blend inside these little squares so that I can see them when it comes time to add the next stencil layer. Almost there. Now, it is very important as you line up these subsequent layers that you line them up perfectly with those alignment squares. And why is it so important? Because when you go to die cut your flowers, if you have not aligned them well, then the die will not cut out around the flowers perfectly. But if you, again, if you're not like super confident in your alignment skills, there are ways that you can use just this pattern or just the die. So don't get yourself convinced that you can't do it or that you're going to be frustrated. This has so many uses and combinations beyond this, and I really don't think it's too tough. So I'm going to show you here. I am lining up the left side of my, if I pull it in closer too, you guys might be able to see just a little bit better. So I'm lining up that first side, and then my second side doesn't need adjustment at all. It looks just perfect. And then we'll tack that down. And this one is going to be pineapple. everybody ready for Easter? Any special plans? Is the Easter Bunny coming by to drop Easter eggs at your house for an egg hunt? I think we are planning, I wonder what the weather's going to be like. I haven't looked yet, but we're planning lunch at my mother-in-law's house, and she usually does an egg hunt. The kids are getting older and older, so it seems like the eggs get more and more expensive. Now there's like, each kid gets a $20 bill in one of the eggs, and there's all kinds of rules that we have for the way the egg hunt has to be executed, because, you know, every kid gets to find a $20 egg, so then each kid has to have a different colored egg and only find their colored eggs. I feel like we've really overcomplicated the egg hunt, but it's still fun. So I think that is our plan. I need to figure out what I'm bringing for Easter dinner. So we're all kind of bringing a few different things, and I'm not sure yet what my thing is going to be. All right, next up we have layer 3. We're going to start our first layer of leaves, which, now that I look at this, I am missing my green. So I'm going to have to go run and grab my green blender brush really quick, but I've got my squares perfectly lined up. If I really want to get I don't want to show you guys get my hair in the frame. Otherwise, I would probably get down a little closer. As my eyes are aging, I have to get closer to the paper. Okay, so we're going to use Granny Smith, and since I have to go get the blender brush, I think I'll grab my ink stand too. Okay, I'm back. Ink stand, Granny Smith ink, and we'll go ahead and blend this leafy part out. Actually, for the project that we're creating, I'm not going to be using the leaves, but once we die cut this piece, I can always set the leaves aside and use them on something else in the future. I can even picture this in pretty fall colors, a regal color combination, the flowers in kind of rust and mulled wine, sweet potato pie, maybe sweet basil for the leaves. That would make a pretty fall card. Okay, Granny Smith, check. Next, we're going to move on to layer 4. It's coming together, you can see it. Layer 4, these are the tiny little flowers. Again, we're gonna make sure that stencil is perfectly lined up over my squares. And then this layer is going to be dried fig. Ooh, Madge says she's going to buy several more packages of lemon Kit Kats before they're gone for the season. They do disappear after Easter, which is disappointing. Maybe we could petition. I don't know who makes Kit Kats. I'd have to look that up, but I do have about 6 bags here, so if you have a shortage at your Target, it's probably my fault. All right, feeling good about the dried fig. And last, we're going to do flower centers with guava. So the flower centers on this last stencil layer, they actually go with 2 different flower colors. So the yellow flowers and the peach flowers are going to have centers with this stencil. So when you're deciding what colors to use, you'll want to pick a color for this layer that works with both of the colors that you've chosen for your first 2 layers. So guava is going to go nicely over the peaches and cream and over the pineapple. And if you wanted to, you could easily use 2 different colors on this layer. The flower centers are spaced out enough that if you wanted to do a different color inside the yellow flowers and a different color inside the peach flowers, you could do that. I just decided guava was a nice complement to both colors and made it easier on this particular project we're doing to just do it in 1 color. But if you want to do 2 colors, grab those little detail blender brushes and you can easily get into kind of picking and choosing what color center you want on the different flowers. All right, so let's go ahead and here's what my panel looks like. So pretty, right? Love how that turned out. I am going to grab my die then, if I can find, I showed that to you a couple times during the walkthrough of the supplies. So here is my die. Now I want to point out a couple things. Because all of these flowers here have the etched markings in them, we could not hollow out the actual center of the flowers. So the only way to line these up is with the alignment squares. That's why it becomes so important that you made sure that as you were blending these, you were really lining them up just perfectly. So I am going to take this die then. I'm going to grab, before I get too far into finagling my alignment squares, I am going to grab some tape so I can tape this down and make sure that it doesn't shift while I'm sending it through the die cut machine. It's a pretty large die, so I'm grabbing several pieces of the Scotch removable tape, and I am going to get right down in there with my face so that I can see how to line this up. I'm feeling pretty good about that. I want to get it as best as I can, scoochy it. I call it scooching it until I feel really happy with how it's lining up. Got that tacked down. I'm going to get one more piece for good measure right up here at the top. Then I'll bring my die cut machine over. All right. Here's what that looks like. There are my alignment squares on that piece that we have blended. Now I'm going to move you guys out just a little bit so we can get the die cut machine in here and go ahead and cut these out. All right, alignment squares still look good. Check, 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 check. And we'll go ahead and send this through. I'm going to send it back and forth a couple times. And if you've got a metal shim, it could help to put that in there depending on the tension of your machine. Before you separate the die from the paper, I like to turn it over, and if it doesn't look like I quite got all the way through the paper, I'm gonna grab my metal shim and we're gonna run this one more time just to make sure. It is a die with lots of detail in it. So if you have one of those precision platforms. I have to get myself one of those. I don't know why I don't have one here. People say such good things about those. But we'll go ahead and send it through with the metal shim just to make sure. And then I'll flip that over. There you can see some of them are already sticking down, and I've got a nice cut all the way through all of my pieces. So we'll go ahead and take this away. I'd say I did a pretty good job. You can see how that cuts nicely around the details of all of those blended elements, and it also cuts in the etched markings. So take a look at that one. You can see those petals have the etchings on them now. There's little pierce points inside the flower center, which is a nice little touch to the flower. And you didn't have to do anything but run it through your die cut machine. So let's go ahead and pop out all of these. Now there might be some areas, like take a look at this leaf. It's not perfect, it's off just a little bit with the white on the other side. I'm not gonna let that bother me. It's not gonna ruin my experience. I would say for the most part, the main pieces that I have stenciled and die cut are just absolutely perfect, and I think that might be the only leaf that I see. The rest of them look great with white space around them. So we'll go ahead and pop that in a little bit so you can see the detail better. We'll go ahead and remove the die, and you can see all those pieces just kind of fall out of the design. Now, I wanted to show you, this is what I think Emily did, so we're gonna see if I'm right about that. Nope, she did not. Unless it goes like this. Does it go like this? There it is. Okay, so she used this die cut piece as a template. She placed that down over her black cardstock and then adhered all of those pieces back into the die cut and then removed it. And that's how she got that pop of black on the background of her card. So just something to show you, since we've got this die cut piece now, that you can use that as a template, and that's an easy way to get those dark pops of color in your background. So then here are all of our little pieces. We can put together lots of cards with this. I decided to use something that had been previously released in our collection to create a little grouping of flowers. I am going to see if I can get I put that adhesive down when we started, so I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of alcohol on that and see if I can get that up so we're not fighting with that adhesive there in the center while I'm finishing off these cards. Perfect, squeaky clean on my glass mat. We do have another glass mat pre-order that we have planned in the future, so if you've been on the fence or thinking about or waiting for the next glassboard pre-order, it will be coming next month. If you have not, or you have not started maybe saving in your piggy bank for a glassboard of your own, here is your heads up that we will be doing that within the next several weeks, and so you can keep an eye out. Okay, so let's get out. Oh, you know what? Speaking of all these things, using them with previously released products, I realized I forgot to show you this card that I made earlier when we were walking through the kit contents. So I took this stamp that is the Wildflower background stamp. It is an oldie but a goodie, and it's been around in the Tailored Expressions collection for a little bit, but what I did was just stamped the stems from that particular flower or particular background stamp, and just loosely kind of used a mini ink cube to get as close as I could without stamping the flower itself. It was not hard to do at all. And then I was able to take the foil panel. I actually did not foil the details. I simply blended over the top with ink, and I got those black lines in there that kind of match the line art of the stems, and popped those all up across the background. I thought that was kind of fun. So that's another one that works with this. It's called Wildflower Background. And what we are going to use on these two cards is another previously released stamp that's called Hold My Blooms. And these two designs in this stamp set were made just for that, to hold blooms. We have different flowers in many different sets that go with this, so this is just a great basic to have in your collection. There's a small and then there's a larger one, depending on what size you want to use. This larger one would cover more of the full A2 card, and this smaller one is the one we're going to use, and creates that more of a smaller element like you see here. So let's grab, I had already die cut this piece, so I am just going to show you. I used our A2 layer stacklets, and this is the 5th smallest, or is it 4th? Nope, 5th. 1, 2, 3, 4. The 5th smallest, 5th from the smallest die to cut that piece out. And we're going to go ahead and set that up in the MISTI with the Hold My Blooms stamp. I'm going to go ahead and kind of corner it down here in one of the corners of my MISTI grid paper. So if I wanted to mass produce this, all I would need to do is make sure my die cut is right in the corner every time before I stamp it. And once you do this one time, or if you're looking at my sample, I kind of hold it up against the next one, and I want my stamp to be about a ½ inch up from the bottom of the cardstock, which is going to leave about the same space at the top when we're finished adding our flowers. If you put this just fully in the center of the cardstock, then your flowers are going to hang off the top and you're going to have a whole lot of ground down here. So let's go ahead and flip that over now, and we're going to position that so that our the bottom of our stems is about a ½ inch up from the bottom of the cardstock. And then I want my leaves to be on each end, so I'm just perfectly centering that. And then we're going to pick that up with the lid of the MISTI. I am going to make sure that my stems are straight, which I'm using the vertical lines on the MISTI to kind of move this just slightly so that those stems are straight up and down on that line of the MISTI grid. Then we're going to take our Granny Smith Granny Smith ink, and stamp that. I don't see my, here it is. No stressing, just pressing with my Just Press tool. Kathleen, when you order the glass mat, because it's a pre-order, she asked if we have to order it on its own. It really does help us greatly if you can order it on its own. It does ship free because it is already expensive enough to qualify for the free shipping. So when we do those pre-orders, we usually do ask that you order it by itself, and then we hold the order until the glass boards come in, and we ship those out separately. So now I'm taking a mini ink cube, and I'm just adding some little detailing with my mini ink cube in a little bit darker color. So this is Pea Pod. And there are, let me see, I gotta run and grab my little dauber so I can show you this next step. So if you have little sponge daubers, you can see on this side of the stamp, there are some pretty, I guess when you use your mini ink cubes, you get those really straight lines when you're doing this, but you wanna blend those out so they're not so stark on your image. So I'm gonna take my little sponge dauber here, and I'm actually gonna blend out some of those really crisp lines where you've applied the ink from the mini ink cube directly to the stamp, and that's just going to soften the color that we end up stamping down here. It's still going to give us a nice dimension, a little bit of added dimension by having that second color of ink in there, but you're not going to have those really stark, crisp lines of darkness where you have applied that ink cube. Instead, you've softened it with the dauber first before you stamped it down onto your paper. So there we have that. I'm going to take a couple of Olo markers next, and I'm going to add grounding so that our little flower grouping doesn't look like it's just hanging out in the middle of nowhere. We've added a little bit of, we'll just call it dirt, down there at the bottom. I have the WG1 and WG3. So I'm going to take WG1 first, that's the lighter one, And I'm just kind of adding, here, I'll come in a little bit closer so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing here. I'm just adding like a little line kind of underneath each one. That separates them a little bit. You could, you know, color in the whole ground if you liked that. I just feel a little bit more confident with just adding a little bit of shading. Then I'm going to take the WG3 and I'm going to come in just a little bit closer to my stem and add the darker color. So for the lighter color, I let it travel farther, and then that darker WG3, I just kind of dotted it right at the base of the stem. So you have a couple colors of dimension there. Now we can go ahead and build our little flower garden. So if I just kind of follow my example, because that's the easiest right now, we have this little flower over here. We put a couple of purple flowers down here at the bottom. Maybe we'll do the big one over here and the little one over here. No, I like it the other way. The bigger one here and the little one here. Can move him down just a little bit. And then we've got one more little flower over here. Just like that, something like that. Now you can pick this up if you've got a Post-it labeling tape. You could pick it all up at once and put your adhesive on. I'm just gonna go ahead and adhere it. It's not that many flowers, and then I have a little bit of control over where each of the flowers is going to land. So I'm gonna take my foam squares here that are already pre-cut into squares, and I'm gonna cut them into fringe. We're gonna call this foam fringe. Some smaller pieces. And I'm going to do my big flower first. And I want to make sure this one is positioned about a ½ inch from the top so that I have equal white space at the top and the bottom. And you can just move your flower down the stem if you need to create more white space at the top. Good about that. All right, next biggest flower. Let's adhere you. I might need to get out my tweezers. I think I have another nail appointment before I see you guys again next week. It's time to get these nails off. All right, these little flowers, I'm going to need to fringe a little bit more into tiny little squares of foam. Put that one on, and that one. And then let's see if I can get this one to fit on my last flower here. Okay, so this flower is going to come over this way. And then we had our bigger purple flower on this stem. And our tiniest purple flower over here. Ta-da! There's our pretty little flower grouping, our little flower garden that we created. And look at how many flowers I have left to build. You can build tons of little flower gardens with the one stenciled and die cut piece. Now, if you wanted to go crazy and do even more, let me bring in this card. So this was the other one that I showed you that uses just the cardstock die cuts. So here's what I have die cut from 3 different colors of cardstock. all of these flowers, only 3 colors. And then you can add additional colors by blending inside of those flowers with your detail blender brushes. So if I take my Peaches and Cream cardstock that I die cut and grab my detail blender brush, I can simply just come right into the center and go round and round and round to get a beautiful flower center and add another color, some extra dimension. You could even go on the outer edge of the petals if you didn't want to do it in the center. And if you want a darker center, you can go direct to the paper and don't blot it off on your mat, and that'll give you a darker one. This even looks nice inside the yellow. Candy corn was another one that I tried inside the yellow. It looks nice. You could just do a little bit darker tone on tone with the dried fig to get some dimension in that flower center. I've got a little detail brush, and then just go on your way building little flower gardens with all of these extra pieces. So let me give you a close-up of these now that we've got the centers on there. You can see the etched details that add a lot to the petals. Just another way to accomplish the same thing. That's what I love about card making and product creation, is making things versatile so that they can be used in lots of different ways, because we're not all the same. We don't all like to do the same things. We might like the same styles, but we want to be able to accomplish them differently just based on our own personal preferences. Some of us love to color, some of us prefer to blend. So yeah, just making products that allow you to do all those different things. Okay, I'm gonna grab my little flower groupings and get those off to the side, my little garden up here at the top. And I have already embossed my sentiments. I use this one a lot. It's probably one of my most used mini strips. Actually, I think I just used it recently. It's called Mini Strips Floral. So if this isn't one you have in your collection, it goes great with flower imagery. It has thanks a bunch, if friends were flowers, I'd pick you, love you bunches. And then we've got just some general wishing you well, you are wonderful. I'm going to do thanks a bunch on this one. I've got a little bit of fringe left over for this sentiment, and then we'll have to fringe a little bit more too. And we can place that down at the bottom of our stems. Does anybody else just toss their foam pieces aside? Like, there you go, get over there. Okay, thanks a bunch right about here. Looks great. Then we'll go ahead and add a little bit of adhesive onto the flower centers, and then I can add my, I think, yes, I used gold glitter drops on the flower centers. I've got my little star trinket tray and my pickup stick that I can just stick those down easily. The hardest part sometimes is just finding gems that are right side up. So you can just pick them up and put them down. Sometimes I have to end up turning them over to find the one that the size that I want. And you can have that one. There we go. Cute, right? I got some little pieces of something on there. Get my eraser out, and whatever that is came off just fine. All right, now we just finish it up. We're gonna take the background stamp then that I stamped on my card base, and I have my toffee card base. This is called Playful Plaid Another oldie but a goodie. This is one that I love to use. And we'll go ahead and set that up in the MISTI. That over the top. Actually, because this is kind of, it's straight lines, I'm going to take my cardstock and place it perfectly in the center so that I don't get anything crooked. And then I can close the back lid and press it to pick up that cardstock perfectly in place. And then we're going to go ahead and stamp this with sugar cube ink. Sugar Cube is our pigment white ink pad, so it's going to sit nicely on top of this toffee cardstock so you can still see it nicely. Grab my Just Press tool. Looks great. I'm happy with that. I don't think I'm going to stamp it again. And now we just take our little flower garden. I have my 1x3 thin foam strips. I'm going to put a couple of those on there. And sometimes you got to cut these down too, so I'm going to fringe this down the middle so that it's a little bit shorter. That at the bottom here. I'm gonna have to trim off just a touch. And then we can center it. Who's still here for the tea? I haven't forgotten yet. So every Thursday during March and April, we're doing something that we haven't done before. We're doing Throwback Thursdays and releasing products that may have previously been in a kit, maybe in a special bundle that we did for Black Friday or our birthday celebration. So throughout the year, we often do exclusive freebies and bundles, and sometimes those end up coming out later. And that is what these Throwback Thursdays are for. So okay, it looks like I'm getting lots of me's. I'm here. Here for the tea. All right, well, here is that project that we finished up. Here's a look at that other one with the cardstock pieces blended instead of the stencil blend. I hope you enjoyed the video today. I'm gonna bring you back to the front screen and we're gonna talk about the tea then. All right, I think this is one of our older Throwback Thursdays. I think it might be the oldest, actually. It's from 2022. Yes, 2022. December of 2022, this card kit came out, and it has been a theme that I've often wished that I had back in the collection, and so I'm excited for you guys to see that. Heather is going to be up with the live on Thursday, so she's going to be crafting along with you. And for those of you that may already have purchased this card kit back when it was released, we do have some additional products that we've been adding on to these throwbacks. And you have the opportunity to receive our color inspiration cards free when you purchase any of the items, new or from the previous kit. When you purchase those, you get those color inspiration cards for free. So all of that is launching Thursday, 9 a.m. And here is your little peek. And this has a new product on it. Yay! I love it. I love it. So fun. So you'll recognize that boom box here. That's from one of our quad stencils, one of the quadrants of our Totally Rad stencil. So that's not new. You'll have to tune in for sure on Thursday to see all the details. But I'm super excited to get some music themed products into our collection. I know there are lots of music lovers out there, and just excited to see what you think of it. So thank you for tuning in today, for staying all the way to the end for the tea, and I hope you guys have a great week. Enjoy Thursday with Heather, and I will see you back here on Tuesday for the first